Breaking news from WRAL. Coverage you can count on.
Breaking news, a person is hospitalized after a fire in Raleigh this morning. What we learned from fire officials who've been on that scene for more than 2 hours.
And as you're heading out the door this morning, it's cold out there with temperatures near freezing. I'll show you why we'll warm up so much this afternoon.
Meet the candidates. The Raleigh Police Department is looking for a new chief. How you can learn more about the people running for the position tonight.
And funding concerns. USAID employees were officially taken off the job at midnight. We'll show you how that's affecting our local universities. A lot to tell you about on this Monday morning, but the news we know you'll like is just how much warmer it will feel. It's going to feel like spring this week. I'm Renee Chu.
I'm Jeff Hogan. Yeah, thanks for making us part of your Monday here. How about that weekend?
Oh, pretty nice too.
On the turnaround right now. After last week, we deserve it. Elizabeth Gardner in the WRS Severe Weather Center right now with the changes coming.
You know, we're about to get into spring. Of course, when we hit March 1st, officially that is meteorological spring. So knocking on the door right now, and it's going to feel like it this week. Live look at North Hills this morning. Our wind is calm, but it is cold. Our temperature in the triangle is 31 degrees. Our skies are mostly clear. Lots of 20s on the map. As a matter of fact, look at that. We just dropped to 23 in Roxborough. It is cold. 28 Southern Pines, 27 Rocky Mount and South Hill, 30 in Goldsboro, 33 Fayetteville, 31 in Durham. So it's cold weather, at least in my book. But we'll have a nice warm up this afternoon. Temperatures will climb into the low 60s. I'll show you how we can go from 30s to 60s in, just a few hours coming up in just a little bit. Ken?
6:01, Elizabeth. A couple of things we've been following in the last hour. If you're just joining us, that crash on I-95 in Roanoke Rapids completely cleared, which is good news. Also, Garner Police were able to get rid of that road debris on Benson Road and Bethel Church Road, so nothing to report. And also, no incidents to report on any of our major routes at this hour, which is good news. Let's head outside, give you a live look, hopefully at I-87 and New Hope Road. Traffic is beginning to pick up a little bit in those southbound lanes, but nothing that's going to slow you down this morning. You're getting ready to head out the door. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Breaking news. For the past 2 hours, crews have been fighting a house fire in Raleigh. WRAL's Laura Levine joins us live from Schaub Drive near Western Boulevard. And Laura, we know crews faced some challenges as they arrived on scene.
They did. The fire chief here, the battalion chief on scene, he tells us that this isn't the typical house fire that they've had to respond to. We're talking about a massive fire that took place here on Schaub Drive. That home kind of tucked away in between the wooded areas here in this neighborhood. But this is right off of Western Boulevard. The fire chief tells us that more than 40 firefighters had to respond to this fire. They got that call initially right before 4 o'clock this morning. When they arrived on scene, they learned that it was an abandoned home that caught on fire. They tried to, as safely as they could, begin searching the property, working to put out those flames, and that's when they discovered someone inside the home. That person had to be transported to a local hospital. Their condition right now is unknown, so we will continue to try to get more information on that. But the fire battalion chief here, he tells us that this was an extensive fire investigation and process they had to go through to put out those flames. They had to get a 400-foot hose to really reach the home, begin putting out those flames, and it took about 45 minutes for them to get the fire under control. We actually had to walk up some stairs and kind of scale the siding of the hills in order to get this video here of the home that was on fire. You could see probably with the fire crews also spraying the house down and trying to get those flames under control. Now, as far as the cause of the fire, of course, that is still under investigation. In fact, it'll probably be later until the sun comes up for the crews to be able to get back into that home and continue searching the property to begin their investigation. Laura Levine, WRAL News, live in Raleigh.
More breaking news out of Wake County. Several fire units on the scene of a burning barn near Zebulon. You can see the flames shooting out of that building, smoke pouring out of it. It happened about 2 a.m. on Perry Curtis Road. Neighbors say that barn was sometimes used for car repairs. Wake County Sheriff's deputies on the scene confirmed nobody was hurt in the fire.
A person is dead after a head-on crash in Harnett County. It happened around 6:30 last night on US 421 near Sloan Road. An SUV and pickup truck collided. The person driving the pickup truck died. A family of 5 was in the SUV. At least one of the members of that family was airlifted to the hospital.
And Renee, another deadly crash in Harnett County. A child was killed in this crash around 11 yesterday morning. This was on NC 210. It was right near Lillington. And 4 vehicles were involved in this crash. 3 other people were rushed to the hospital. We don't know their conditions at this time.
Today, the Raleigh Police Department will introduce the final candidates for its next chief of police. An event will be held at the Fletcher Opera Theater at the Martin Marietta Center for Performing Arts. It starts at 6 p.m. They will be interviewed by panels that include community members, law enforcement representatives, and city leaders. Police Chief Stella Patterson announced her retirement late last year. Her last day on the job is March 1st.
New this morning, most USAID employees in the U.S. and around the world have been put on administrative leave. The order comes from the Trump administration, and it took effect at midnight. WRAL's Kelsey Coffey is at UNC Chapel Hill this morning. And Kelsey, many of North Carolina's universities are feeling the effects of those cuts at the agency.
Yes, Jeff, UNC is just one of the universities that will be impacted by this. We know thousands of people are waking up without a job this morning. Check this out. This is USAID's website. It says all direct hire personnel will be put on administrative leave with a few exceptions. This comes after the Trump administration said it was eliminating 2,000 positions and placing most of the staff on leave. USAID funds humanitarian efforts across the globe. North Carolina organizations receive nearly $1 billion a year from USAID. That's according to U.S. spending. NC State received $2.2 million from the agency last fiscal year, while UNC received around $17.5 million. Now, we did check in with UNC. Their spokesperson says that money went towards several programs, including one that tried to help track the spread of tuberculosis. The university says 9 programs have received stop work orders because of this decision. Kelsey Coffey, WRAL News, live in Chapel Hill.
In Durham County, the Board of Commissioners will meet tonight. One item on their agenda is to sign a celebratory resolution highlighting the freedom of Keith Siegel from Hamas detention. It starts tonight at 7. The meeting will be held in person and via Zoom.
Durham County Sheriff says the county has seen a decrease in significant crime across the county in the last year. The most significant drop was property crimes. This includes break-ins, motor vehicle thefts, and arson. There were 460 in 2024, down from 515 in 2023. Aggregate crime, including violent crimes like murder, rape, robbery, and aggravated assaults, down 4% last year compared to 2023. The sheriff says getting guns off the streets is still a challenge. 304 guns were seized in 2024. In 2023, that number was 262.
Today, a woman accused of shooting and killing another woman at a Raleigh apartment complex over the weekend has her first court appearance. 31-year-old Debria Moore faces charges including first-degree murder. Officers responded to Casa de Luna apartments on Bonneville Court around 3:30 Saturday morning. Police found 28-year-old Ashley Searles with a gunshot wound. She died at the hospital.
A man accused of stabbing a woman and 2 children to death in a Fayetteville home is due in court today. Police say 26-year-old Mackenzie Darbuzzi is responsible for the killings Friday morning on Bell Arthur Lane. They say the children and the 77-year-old woman were family members of Darbuzzi, but they did not specify how they were related. He is being held in jail without bond.
2 people are facing charges after a motorcycle crash on Wade Avenue in Raleigh. Before that crash Saturday night, troopers in Johnston County tried to stop 3 motorcycles impeding traffic on I-95. Troopers say there was a chase. One of the motorcyclists stopped and surrendered. The second got away. The third sped into Raleigh and crashed into a car at Wade Avenue in Faircloth. Damon Smithwick suffered minor injuries and faces charges, including possession of a stolen vehicle. The person in the car wasn't hurt. The other motorcyclist who was caught also faces several charges.
Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky says he would be willing to step down if Ukraine were to be granted membership in NATO. Zelensky made his comments at a forum of government officials in Kyiv. The Ukrainian president also says European countries must take part in any negotiations to bring about an end to Ukraine's war with Russia. The United States and Russia have been conducting peace talks in Saudi Arabia. So far, Ukraine and its European partners have not been involved.
And Jeff, that's why Ukraine and its European partners are meeting today, essentially talking about at this Support Ukraine summit that's happening there. You may recall recently President Trump has called Zelensky a dictator and even suggesting that Ukraine is to blame for the war and ended Putin's 3-year diplomatic isolation by the U.S. Now, one thing that we're watching very closely is to see what specifically is going to happen as a result of these talks there. As you just mentioned, the concession that Ukraine's president is willing to make. But so many people are watching this closely to see what is the next step here, especially now that the Trump administration is in place and seems to signal less favor with Ukraine in recent days.
Chris, thanks. Bomb threat aboard. An American Airlines plane made an emergency stop in Italy. Hear from passengers about the surprise landing.
And almost 1 year since his death by suicide, the parents of professional golfer Grayson Murray are talking about the struggles he faced on and off the course.
And you don't need the umbrellas just yet. We have warm temperatures on the way, but plan for it to be a little bit wetter on Thursday. I'll show you the timeline for the rain coming up.
As you get into your car, tune to WRAL News Plus on your radio. In Raleigh on 99.3 FM. In Durham, 96.5 FM. And everywhere on 101.5 HD3.
6:13. Take a look. A little bit of sunshine. They're starting to peak here as we see that sunrise here in Durham. We're looking over, of course, across the DPAC. It's going to be a gorgeous sunrise this morning. We do have the top of the tower in our backyard lit in blue for clear skies. It's going to be such a pretty day today. But even though we're talking about warm temperatures, take a look at this. So many spots in the 20s this morning. It's 25 in Lewisburg, 28 Southern Pines, 27 in Tarboro, South Hill, and Rocky Mount. So be sure that you send the kids out in their coats this morning, even though it's going to be warm and we'll hit 70s yesterday for tomorrow. It's chilly start out there. Temperatures in the mid 60s for this afternoon, so it will feel nice. Great afternoon for exercise as well. We'll talk about our next chance of rain coming up, Ken.
Elizabeth, around 6:15. Let's keep it in Bull City. Keep it outside. Give you a live look at I-85 and TW Alexander Drive. No issues to report. In terms of drive times and some of the other major routes in and out of Durham, zeros running wild. No delays whatsoever. Similarly, in the capital city, very little to no delays on any of the major routes at this hour.
Ken, thanks. Israeli tanks are moving into the occupied West Bank for the first time in decades. Palestinian authorities are calling it a dangerous escalation. Israel's defense minister says troops will stay in parts of the territory for a year, and tens of thousands of Palestinians who have fled cannot return. 3 million Palestinians live in the West Bank under military rule. The last time tanks were deployed there was in 2002.
An American Airlines flight from New York to New Delhi, India, landed safely in Rome after it was diverted because of an apparent bomb threat. The airline says the threat was not credible. Jonathan Bacon was on the flight, and he says he started paying attention to the flight tracker after the captain announced the plane was diverting. He could see the plane making a sharp turn away from the New Delhi route and heading toward Rome.
The longest flight to Europe I've ever taken. It's like 15 hours from JFK to Rome is not ideal.
American Airlines says the plane was inspected by law enforcement after landing. They found nothing suspicious.
At least everyone is safe. An airman is dead and another is injured after a shooting near Kirtland Air Force Base in New Mexico. Officials say Airman Basic Brian Teal Scott was shot and killed. According to a statement from the base, the shooting happened around 2 Saturday morning. Officials say an incident started at the base gate and then led off base where Teal Scott was killed. Another airman was shot in the hand. The Air Force did not say if there is a search for a suspect or whether the shooter or shooters were also airmen.
This morning, we're getting more insight into professional golfer Grayson Murray's life before he died by suicide. His parents sat down with NBC News to talk about the struggles the Raleigh native faced on and off the course. Michelle McConaughey is here now with what they had to say. Michelle.
Yeah, Jeff, this is so tragic. Grayson Murray's life ended in tragedy last May when he took his own life. At just 30 years old, he had his whole life ahead of him. His parents are hoping that by sharing his story, it'll help others. His parents, Terry and Eric Murray, sat down with the Carson Daily for the first time since his death to talk about their son's professional achievements and also his very personal mental health struggles. The Murrays talk about the pain their son hid whenever he was playing the game he loved and the battles he would face off the course.
Eric, just tell me, when Grayson was home, what sorts of things was he saying to you?
We sat on the sofa and we both just sat there and cried. And I was holding him like a baby.
What was he saying?
He was talking about how hard it was physically and emotionally to keep doing what he's doing.
And his father, Eric, knew after his death they had to do something. So they created the Grayson Murray Foundation. According to their website, the foundation is committed to funding innovative services and research for mental health and addiction. And you can watch the full interview with Carson Daly coming up at 7 o'clock on Today.
He played a lot of golf in this area. A lot of people knew him and supported him around here. If you or someone you know needs help, you can contact the Suicide and Crisis Lifeline at any time. The number is 988. You can also visit WRAL.com and search Get Help for additional resources in our area.
The death toll continues to rise in Kentucky after massive flooding there. Kentucky's Governor Andy Beshear announced over the weekend that 21 people have now died in the floods. Kentucky has received a disaster declaration from the White House. It's waiting on approval for direct assistance from the federal government. More than 100 roads are closed across the state, and more than 600 residents are out of their homes. It is 6:18 on your Monday morning, and we are looking forward to the weather this week. Meteorologist Elizabeth Gardner in the WRAL Severe Weather Center. We're going to have lots of sunshine and warmer temperatures, finally.
Oh, yes. Temperatures yesterday were in the upper 50s. We're going to make it into the low to mid 60s today and then jump right on into the 70s for tomorrow. So just beautiful weather ahead. Starting to see a little bit of daylight here in Raleigh. We're going to have a pretty sunrise that starts to develop here over the next few minutes. Chapel Hill, courtesy of Top of the Hill Restaurant, and a live look at Apex as well. Here's a look at the big picture. We do have a low that's down here in the Gulf, and that's spreading some cloud cover up toward North Carolina. Our southern counties may see just a few clouds this morning, but that is all going to continue to head south and east away from us. High pressure will be building in, but we will end up gradually seeing our winds today shifting to southwesterly, and that's going to bring the warmth in. It is dry up until Thursday. So I tell you what, on my list, I didn't have a chance to get to it this weekend, but is your car coated with that brine and salt and all that mess from last week? Mine is. So great days today, tomorrow, and Wednesday for getting out and washing the car. We will have rain on Thursday, but it's probably not going to be enough to wash all the brine off of your car, or I would wait for that. But rain is likely. We may even see a few rumbles of thunder, and the timeline for this is going to be pretty late on Thursday, and it will turn cooler after this front. Ahead of a front, we tend to see a flow out of the south, and that tends to keep things nice and warm. Behind it will cool down. We'll pause here Thursday at 6 p.m., and you can see that rain is still to the west. It rolls through late in the evening and overnight, and then it's out of here by Friday morning. So we may have some brief heavy rain, some rumbles of thunder. That's a 50% chance. It's not likely that we'll see very much rain with this, only around 1/4 of an inch, and that's about, it's going to be an average widespread. How are we doing? I mean, it's been pretty dry this winter, actually, but from Raleigh northward, we're actually looking pretty good. We've had about 125% of our normal rainfall in the last 30 days, but from Raleigh southward, it's only been about 75%. We do have above normal precipitation in our forecast through the middle of March. We also have near normal temperatures. So this nice little warm spell that we're going to see, especially Tuesday and Thursday, is not likely to last through the weekend. Our temperatures will be a little closer to normal after Thursday. Ken?
Absolutely. We're going to keep it outside, Elizabeth, and give you a live look at I-40 and Jones Sausage Road. Traffic picking up nicely in both directions. And, this time of the morning is very busy at RD International. If you're getting ready for a morning flight, all the major routes to the airport right now delay-free, which is really good news. Other than that, we have no incidents to report from our friends at Raleigh Wake 911 and any of our major routes from Raleigh and all points east. Similarly, in Durham, Chapel Hill, Hillsborough, all delay-free at this hour. You're getting ready to head out the door. Tune us in on the radio, 101.5 HD3.
Thanks, Ken. Half-court bucket. A baseball player takes on a different sport for a good cause. We'll show you his $10,000 shot ahead in What's Trending.
And a singing sheriff's deputy. A Wake County law enforcement officer is auditioning on The Voice when you can catch Deputy Hunter's big moment. But first, here's a look at your winning lottery numbers.
This What's Trending report, sponsored by Rug & Home.
Big first for a longtime actor at the Screen Actors Guild Awards last night.
Plus, a baseball player hits a half-court shot for a good cause. Ken Smith here now with What's Trending, Ken.
Yeah, definitely, Renee. Let's start with the Screen Actors Guild Awards happening last night. Hulu's series Only Murders in the Building won both awards it was nominated for. The first big honors for the show, now in its fourth season. Actor Martin Short, who was absent after contracting COVID last week, won for Best TV Comedy Actor. It's his first SAG award ever after decades of working in film and television.
Yeah, and this was going up against Abbott Elementary and Hacks and the Bear. And I mean, so they were even surprised that they won. But finally, after 4 seasons, working on season 5, they finally get some due credit there. And Selena Gomez starring in it, Steve Martin in it, too.
Oh, Marty, 74 years young.
Incredible. Yeah. Hey, listen, I mean, what can't A-Rod do, right? Alex Rodriguez banking a half-court shot during halftime of Bucknell's college basketball game against Army. Take a look at this. What? I mean, by making that shot, he won $10,000 for a Bucknell student. How about that?
Amazing. Now, what is A-Rod doing at a Bucknell Army basketball game? He's got a company with a couple other guys who went to Bucknell. Talked him into going there, and this guy hit almost 700 home runs in the major leagues, and then he hits a half-court shot. He took it like a jump shot too.
Yeah.
I mean, that's
impressive.
Well done.
Hey, when you're an athlete, you're an athlete.
Tonight, a Wake County Sheriff's Office deputy will be featured in a music competition show. Deputy Robert Hunter will try to turn some chairs during his blind audition on The Voice. Deputy Hunter says his love of music took hold in college at Appalachian State University while getting his criminal justice degree. And he plays guitar as well. You can watch Deputy Hunter's audition for The Voice at 8 p.m. right here on WRAL.
That was beautiful. How about this beautiful sunrise, too, just starting up. That sun's really going to help to warm us up today, but it is a cold start. I'll show you who's below freezing as you step out the door.
A fire in Raleigh. A man was taken to the hospital after being found in a burning home. We will check in live for updates from this troubling scene.
And looking for new police leadership. Raleigh Police is narrowing the field for its next chief. When you can meet the candidates.